Afternoon everyone, welcome back to Marion's World. On the day I'm starting to make my new bird fabric book. I've got all my supplies laid out and I'm going to try and get you a better view of everything, but I have struggled actually. But I'm going to show you exactly what I've got set up on the end of my work table and the supplies I've got laid out. So first of all, I've got my lovely piece of Inktense painted fabric. As you can see, I've stitched right the way around the edge, so I know that is my finished size and I can't go out of those lines. I've also transferred an image, so I drew the Blackbird. I have had my book, I had pictures off the internet. I eventually got a pose that I liked and I taped it up to the window and traced the Blackbird on so that I know that I'm going to get the proportions right. And I've actually just used pencil. I haven't used anything special. It just gives me an idea. Things might change, but it gives me an idea of the proportion. I've got some brown wool off a sample book. I've got some various threads laid out, greens, browns, my thread jar, which is going to keep all my bits and pieces in, all my embroidery threads out, lots of pieces of different black fabric. I've got velvet, net, organza, lace. I've got my specials box with taffeta, net, bits of beading, bits of old colour. These are the things that I used for the raven. They're all in there. Got my bird book just as a reference anyway. A bit of an old wool skirt, that's a lovely shade of green. I'll be cutting leaves out of that, more from the fabric book. I'm going to sit down and get on with it. So to start with, I've got my bird drawn on just very fine. I actually want to have the branch under his feet, and I've cut a piece out of this bit of brown. I'm just going to lie it on there so I know it's going to go under his feet. And then, if I can actually find my needle, okay, I'll use that one. I'm going to stitch it on with just some nice straight stitches. I want that to be on underneath his feet. I think I want to use this little green. I don't think I want to use the brown. So I'm just going to get myself a length, thread my needle up, and then you can pin this if you want to, but I'm just going to lie it there, start from underneath, come through, and really I'm just going to start by tacking it in. I'm going to make sure that the stitches are going the way I want them to, but I'm not expecting this to be the final thing. So I think I just better put my hand underneath. I'm just going to tack down so that I've actually got something on the fabric. I don't want to stitch into my underneath. I put the white cloth down just so it would show up better. I don't know whether I've made it worse for myself. So I'm just going to tack that down. Doing these types of embroideries, it's all about just building things up a bit at a time. You don't have to always have the whole plan in place right from the word go. I find that my ideas change as I start to stitch. So that's actually caught on there now. And I think I'll go back up with that same sort of a stitch. I want there to be some sort of a highlight there because it's the top of the branch. And there might be some moss on the top or some lichens. I'm just going to work back up here under where the bird's feet will be coming. I tried to get a photograph of him this morning and he just wouldn't stand still long enough so I could photograph the bird that comes to me. I still haven't managed to get him any nearer. It comes so far and then no further. But even that already, you can see a highlight coming on the branch. I quite like that. I think I'll carry on with that a bit and stitch a little more, and I'll come back to you when I've done a bit more. I'm happy the branch is on. I've just laid in some more sort of like loose stem stitches that are going over the edge of the branch. I've left this loose at the moment because there's other things I'll go on the top. Decided to just do a little bit of the background so that I know that the bird's going to be settled in right, and I've got a bit of this lovely wool type thread, and I'm just going to couch it down with this extra wool, and I just feel as if I start there with a little bit of a hook, hooking it on. I can tie it down there, and then I'm just going to twist this because I want a bit of a thicker branch. I'm going to twist it up. And then I am going to couch it down by just going over and into the cotton again, and then out about a centimetre along, and then I'm just going to lie the wool in and make sure that it just sits nicely like that. And I'm going to make my stitches lie in the same way as the thread so that they can go along with the wool, so that it looks nice. I think I want the thread on this side. The twist of the wool is going that way, so I'm going to lie my stitch in that way. So instead of just going straight across, I'm going to go up a bit and out again, so that when I pull this, the pale thread's going to lie in the same plane as the wool is. Like that. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to come from the bottom. I'm going to go upwards. I've got a little drawn line here that I'm following, so I'm going to go up that line and up again, taking about a centimetre stitch each time. Make sure my thread is my wool is twisted, and then just pulling that until it's in again. Can do that again. Come from the bottom. I'm going to go about a centimetre up on my line and then a centimetre up again. And I want this branch to come over. I'm trying to get texture and a bit of, you know, what would you say, make it quite 3D if I can. Give it some form. So I'm going to let them be a bit more loose as I go up to the top. I'm going to just couch that over the top, and I'm going to lie that in so that it's coming off the page there, but it's another sort of a loose branch. I'm going to come back down here, and again I'm just going to make sure that I'm following the twist of the wool so that it ends up being quite natural. But this time I'm just going to stitch where I like, because I know that the wool's caught down now, so I can just stitch wherever I want. I want to come up at the edge, come down into the middle. Yes, I really like the way that is. Make sure I'm not pulling anything, because I'm not working it in a hoop, so I just make sure that I'm being flat at all times. What I don't want is to make my stitches so tight that they're gathering the fabric, but nor do I want to make them so loose that they're going to get caught on anything. They need to lie where I would like them to lie. Just do one little bit up to the end of the branch. I'm going to put 1 or 2 leaves on and then get on to actually put in the outline of the blackbird there, so I can work the whole thing together. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to cut out some leaf shapes from here. Just nice and quick. I think I definitely need one there. I'm not bothering to draw anything on, I just need them to be just a normal, like a willow leaf or something like that. I'm going to have some up here. I think maybe that's a little bit too big. To put them up here. I'm just going to try this out to see if I like the composition. Some different green ones off this bit of wool. A bit narrower maybe. We've just had the most dreadful thunderstorm here. It got so dark I couldn't be filming because it was just too dark. And the rain was so loud. But I'm pleased to say the sunshine's come back out now. So I'm happily sitting in some quite good light to do my sewing. Also, the quilt is coming on really lovely. I think I'm over half done, which is quite amazing actually. I didn't think it would be that quick, but it is just coming along. I feel as if maybe, I'm quite sure at the moment. Actually, I think that is exactly how I would like it. So I'm going to leave those ones off, but I'm going to stitch these ones on and then get on with the blackbird. So I'm just going to use this lovely variegated thread. I think I'll do feather stitch. So I'm going to start at the point of where I want the leaf to be. Hope I'm still in frame. I'll just check. Yes, I am. I'm going to come down here. Take them off for the moment. Come down onto there. Come up just off the leaf. Make sure it's lying exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to go straight over to the other side off the leaf and come up at the bottom of that first stitch. Around the needle, pull it through And we're going to get a nice feather stitch to make the veins on the leaf. So I am going to take a stitch down the spine. I'm going to come up at the side again. I think I want them more slanted than that first one, so I've come a bit higher. I'll go there. I'm going to come up on the spine, thread around the needle, pull it nice. That's looking a lot better. I shall go down again, down the spine of the leaf. Up off the edge. Down off, so I'm not actually going in the, I'm going in the actual cotton, but I am always coming up at the end of that spine stitch. Around the needle. And I think I'll do one more. So I'll go down the spine one more time. Up there. Quite high up this time. Around the needle. And then I'm just going to catch the end of the leaf in as I go down onto the branch. And then that looks like a nice leaf to me. So I'm going to put two more on. I'll go one there and I'm going to put one here. Got the first leaves on. I'm really happy with the way they look and how I've got some foreground in here. I've put those leaves on first because I want to do a leaf on top of them as well. I thought I'd do some whipped chain for the stem. So I'm just going to come in from the side here and I'm going to put the chain right up to there. And to do chain stitch, we're just going to go in where the thread has come out and take a small step forward, maybe about 1/2 centimetre for this. I don't want it to be too tiny. And then we're going straight back into that loop and taking a step forward. The thread's going around the needle, and the main thing is not to pull this too tight. You want to actually see the loops. You want to see loops being formed. If you pull it too tight, it's just going to go into a line and pucker up the fabric. So we'll just keep it loose but not wibbly wobbly. So I'm back into the loop, step forward and pull it. I'm just going to make a nice loopy stem going up through these leaves. So going into the loop, stepping up about maybe 1/2 centimetre actually, and pulling it nice. We go right up by these leaves and then we'll get them all on, like so they're part of the branch on our way back down. You have to let me know in the comments whether I'm filming this properly or not for you. I've never actually followed along with anybody's stitching and I can't exactly see what I'm filming, so I'm hoping explaining it enough and showing you enough so that you can find out what you want to do for your own stitching. But if there's something I should do, just let me know. I'm going to finish that bit of chain there and we'll just see how different this is going to look when I whip it back down. So I'm going to come out alongside that chain. And then now I'm just going to go underneath. I've got a blunt-ended needle. I'm just going to go underneath both of those stitches. I'm just going to underneath the loop. I'm not even going through the fabric. And I'm just going to, this is called whipped chain. You can whip back stitch, you can whip running stitch, you can whip anything, I suppose, but it just makes a more of a solid stem, and I really like the look of a whipped stitch. So as we get down to there, I can see this one maybe looks like it's not quite in, and it's the blue part of the variegated. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to put my needle in and I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to let the yellow feed it in to this branch piece, so that it actually does look like part of the same branch, like that. Come back out where I was, so that I can carry on whipping downwards. I'm going to go through that one and this one. So I've finished the whipping right down at the edge of the page, and I just want to take this, because the colour's just about changing now, so I want to take that back up towards that leaf. I'm going to do it in the same slanting stitch as I did before, so I'm still whipping up, but I'm not crossing them over. I'm going in the same direction, and I'm just getting that colour change coming in there, which is going to make that look really nice. So as I come up to where that leaf is, I'm going to do one last one there. I'm going to go down into the fabric. I'm going to come up at the end of the leaf, just into the leaf actually, and I'm going to take his stem in. I hope you can see that. So I'm going to just do, two straight stitches there first, and then thicken it up. I could have done a stem, but I haven't actually got much thread left, so I'm just going to weave it about until I like the way it looks. Which I think that looks fine, and I've still got a little bit of thread, so I am going to carry on whipping this down to use my end of my thread up and just help that leaf and that colour become part of what I'm doing. Again, we're still using the same slant as all the rest of them. And there I am at the end of my thread. I'm going to take my thread down into the back of the fabric, turn it over and finish it off just by threading through. And now I'm happy to go on to the Blackbird itself. I've got my needle threaded with black. I'm finished with that, I'm really happy with it. But what I'd like to do is I've got my black material here, which is a lovely watered taffeta off the Victorian skirt. You can see how fragile this material is, but that can work in my favour. So that's what I'm going to use for the body. I've got the picture of the Blackbird here as well. What I would like to do is just build his body up a bit, and to do that I'm just going to hold this bit of felt over my image and cut out some rough shapes. So I need a bit of padding for the head, so I'm just going to cut a head shape out first out of this white felt. Could be any colour, it can be scraps, it doesn't have to be anything, it's all going to be covered up. That's a bit big. Cut it down a bit. It needs to be within the outline of your actual stitching. It's just to give it some plumpness. So I quite like that. That's not too bad at all. I'm going to take it a bit away from the beak. That's probably enough to give it some padding. But what I'm going to do is these little scraps that are off, I'm just going to snip them up and put them underneath that. So it's going to round it up a bit. I'm just going to snip those bits up so I'm not wasting anything. I do want sort of about 4 or 5 mils around the outside that I'm not putting the felt, so that I've got a chance to round the fabric down and sculpt the fabric in. So I am just going to go around the edge. I've got 2 strands of thread in my needle. I have to hold it up, I think. I just put them off there. Got 2 strands of thread in the needle, and I'm just going to put a hem stitch on the edge. None of this will be seen, but you might as well be as neat as you can be. Okay, and then I think I'll go one more round. It's quite a big needle I've got here. I've already lost the one I was using before. It's gone again. So I've just held that down. I'm going to get my little bits. I'm going to push them underneath. And in the end, this is easy to stitch down onto. It's just felt. It's not going to get in your way much at all. All my little bits, I'm going to shove them underneath. And then just carry on doing hem stitch around there to keep all those little bits in. Just get them all underneath. It's almost like, well, we're making a sculpture by putting them under there. And hopefully you can see that I've got a proper little raised up piece that'll make his head. I'll finish that off just with a couple of back stitches into the padding. Snip my thread, and we'll do the same with the body. So I need a bigger piece here. I don't want to pad the tail or his legs, but I would like his body, especially his tummy, to be a little bit plump. So I'm just going to, maybe I can do it with my pencil. I can just hold that down, give myself a sense of what sort of a shape that I'd like to get. I'm going to sort of take it the wing shape really. So I'm going to take it there. I've got a feeling that's about right, so I'll just cut that out and see. See how it goes. And put it on. It could actually have been a little bit bigger than that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that one, and I'm going to take, I think it could be bigger at the back a little bit, so I think the tummy one's not too bad. So I'm going to put it on there, and I'm actually going to cut a slightly larger one. So I'll put that one down first, and then that over the top. We're sort of getting there now. That looks much better to me. I just trim that bit there. Yeah. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so I've got that piece to go underneath it, which is all helping to smooth out the padding. I'm going to cut up these little bits here to go underneath, just in the same way as the head. They just don't have to be quite as small because we're dealing with quite a big bit of the body. Some pieces. So actually, again, I'm just going to stab it through the back here, Just have to be careful not to pick up my base fabric that I'm using. And if you can see, I'm about 3 or 4 mil in from my drawn line. I'll pick it up and see if I can show you. You see, my drawn line is here, and I'm allowing enough room for my top fabric and the stitching to be over there. I shall just carry on with that bit. I have to learn how to put music on my videos so that when I'm concentrating and there's no sound because I've stopped chattering on, you have something to listen to. Because I just get too engrossed in it. Okay, where are they? Keep checking my underneath. I have been known to not only sew my skirt or trousers to my sewing, I've actually sewn into the fingers of my skin, and I'm sure other hand sewers have done the same. You're sewing right through the very end of your finger skin and you don't even feel it until you try and move your sewing and you realise you've gone through your own skin. I'm just taking loose stitches. I'm not really pulling them tight. I just need that padding to stay in place for when I put the top layer on. This is also how I padded the tummy of the blue tit on my 100-day stitch book. But on the blue tit I didn't put fabric over the top. I embroidered straight over the top of the felt. I didn't put any fabric over the top of it. But this time I'm going to do more of a slow stitch thing here. Or I still think of it as embroidery. Not sure whether you'd call this slow stitching. It's always embroidery when I was little anyway. Back to the beginning. I'm just going to finish that off underneath. Okay. So there's now a really good base to start with the fabric. So I have got quite a bit of different stuff. This is really nice. This is stretch denim. It's got a really nice pattern on. I could definitely use that for his body, but I just want to use this, I think. So I am going to cut out a piece that I want to use. I'm going to let the lines of the fabric go down the bird's back so that I'm working with the design rather than against. And I think what I'd like to do is start and do the body like that. So again, I'm just going to cut out quite a rough shape. I'm going to tear that one there. I don't need all of this down here, but I do want to have a decent sized piece. So I'm just going to cut that off there. And you can see I've got a really nice relief shape. It's not my needle. I'll lose the needle again. I'm going to just use one strand of black 6 strands. I don't want, at this moment, I'm not really aiming for embroidery. I just need the shape. And once the shape's on, I can work with it. I'm just going to put a knot And the way I would do it is I would put, really I suppose I'll put the tail first. I'm actually going to put the body because I know I'll be working over that, but I want the head to go over the body so that those feathers will come over. So the body is, for me, is the first, and I am just going to fold that under because I'd rather have that folded edge. And I'm going to just come up there. Let me just try it. Okay. I'm going to have to put it in my hands. So I'm going to lie this little folded edge. Sometimes I might have raw edge, but for this I'm definitely not. I want the roundedness. And I'm going to lie that against where my drawn outline is. I'm not going to bother about the rest of it. I'm just going to very carefully, with tiny stitches, as tiny as I can make them, tack it down. Because I'm more concerned about getting the shape before I start to do all the real pretty stuff on top. I'm pulling it in nice, and I'm just going to go with the shape, and I've started on the straightest line, which is the bird's back. Again, I'm just going to go straight off the end of there and take a stitch. I'm coming out about a 1/2 centimetre away, but I am just on the black, maybe a couple of threads, so you can hardly see them. Lie it down, just make sure I'm following where I would like to be. I am. I'm going to hold it in. I'm going to go straight off, so where that thread has come out, I hope you can see that there. I'm not even going to take a stitch forward. I'm going immediately down into my background fabric and coming up about a 1/2 centimetre, making sure it's not puckered at all. Again, straight off the fabric, straight down into the background, and then about a centimetre away, just catching the threads of the black piece. Oh, he's going to make a lovely blackbird. Now I've got a bit of a curve coming here, so I'm just going to curve that in a bit more. I don't want a straight line entirely. I want to curve it like that. I usually do just hold it in my hand because I can use the needle to help that curve go in. I think I probably should be using a smaller needle. There it goes there. I've definitely got the blackbird's curve now, that's fine. And I'm going to come right down to there, which has actually worked out quite well, because that's the tip of his wing. Just going to pull that to the back while I decide what to do next. Okay, so now it's a matter of finding out where his tummy is. I'm going to just clip that in a bit. I don't want all that excess. Plus, this is precious fabric. I don't want to be just wasting it as the padding. So I'm going to just look at where his tummy is and clip some of this fabric off. I'm going to start back up there. I think this time I am just going to use the raw edge, so I'm actually going to make it more of the actual shape. I'm going in there. Okay, definitely got a blackbird tummy there. Always altering things and making it just as you go. You can see the bits you need to cut or the bits you don't need to cut. That's good. Okay, I'm going to finish this off because I want to leave that loose there, because I may be putting the tail up inside that, dependent how everything goes. So I want the option of being able to put the fabric for the tail up there. So one of these bits I've cut off is probably going to be fine. I could use the back of it and make it more shiny, but I really like the watered markings on it. So I am going to get it how I think it should be and cut a piece freehand. I'll just start the feathery thing going. I just cutting that out. Just keep on cutting, keep cutting until you can see that it's going to go. Well, that's not too bad at all. I do want the bit to go into the beak because I'll be embroidering over that. But actually, I can see the shape starting to take shape. I'm going to do exactly the same by holding that down over the padding and hemming it all round. I've got a little bit to fill in. Actually, I might not fill that in. That'll be embroidery that goes over there. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. That's a really good start on the Blackbird. We've got a branch laid in and the leaves embroidered. The edge of the page, I know where I'm working to, and I've now got the padded body and the vintage taffeta laid down with a nice padded body ready for the overstitching and the embroidery. My next thing will be to work out what I'm doing for his tail, maybe get his legs just temporarily put in, and then start and work around here with embroidery and maybe more fabric to lay in for the wing and embroidery his beak. But I think I'll leave that for another time. I know my last video was really long and I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter so that they're not too long to watch. So that's the Blackbird started and well and truly onto the page. I love his little padded tummy and the leaves came out really well. So I'm going to carry on a bit with some stitching there, but I'll try and put little photographs on Instagram to show you how I'm progressing, and I'll probably do another little video of the Blackbird for Wednesday, along with everything else that I'm getting on with. I've actually I'm almost sidetracked onto something new entirely. I'll let you know about that on Wednesday because it's in my brain now and I can't get it out. And it's quite exciting. The quilt's half finished. The Blackbird started. You've got your front covers of your other book done or on the way. And I will see you Wednesday. Send me a message, press the like button, subscribe if you want to, and bye from Marion's World. Bye. See you on Wednesday.